everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you just so happen to be stopping by for the very first time, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me. My name is Donella and this is my world of beauty here on YouTube. This video I'm going to be sharing some of my tips slash tricks on how I wear dewy foundation. Now this is a question that I get asked a lot. Like, some persons feel like because I have oily skin that, you know, like, why are you wearing dewy foundation? Don't you look like a complete grease ball at the end of the day? Now, you can wear dewy foundation if you have oily skin, but the trick is that you have to do a lot of prep work before you apply that dewy foundation. So if you are interested in seeing, you know, how I wear my dewy foundations, then please stay tuned. One of the first things that you have to do if you want to apply a dewy foundation is make sure you prep your skin, and always prep your skin the minimum of 30 minutes before you put your makeup on. Now, one of the reasons why you do this, one of the reasons why you allow your skincare to sit on your skin and do whatever it needs to do is because you don't want to look like a complete grease ball, and you need to allow the skincare to sit on your skin for at least 30 minutes and do what it needs to do. So 30 minutes, so skin prep 30 minutes prior to putting your makeup on. That's tip number one. Now, tip number two is after you've applied your skincare, you know, you've allowed it to dry down, etc., is that you're going in with a setting spray of your choice. Now I'm going to use this one from Basha. This is the white charcoal makeup setting spray, and it's all the way down here. I'm waiting on the new arrival, but this is one that I use underneath my makeup before I apply my dewy foundation. So I'm just going to apply a couple of this, and then I'm just going to, you know, fan it and allow it to dry down. The question on your mind is, why do I apply a setting spray before I apply a primer? And that's really because, you know I do have natural oils that seep through, and sometimes the primer needs a little bit of extra help. And I find whenever I use that white charcoal setting spray from Basha, that it helps to minimize the amount of natural oils that I see seeping through the dewy foundation, because the dewy foundation is going to make my skin, my natural skin oils, you know, appear even more. Tip number three, whichever one you want to call it, I'm going to go in with a primer of my choice, and I'm going in with the Fenty Pro Filter mattifying primer, and I'm using this on the innermost portion of my face, the areas that I know I get oily the most. And I'm going to apply a second primer, which is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, on the outer perimeter of my face. And the reason why I'm applying two different type of primers is because I do get oily. My natural oils tend to spring more in my T-zone area versus the perimeter of my face. So I prefer to use a mattifying primer that is going to help control the oils in that area, and then use the the Hydro Grip, which is kind of like a hydrating primer, on the outer perimeter of my face. And that's only when I'm using a dewy foundation, because I know that baby is gonna do what she do when she do it. So let me just apply this right here first in my T-zone area, right here especially. I tend to spring a lot of natural oils right here. I want it to sit right there, and then I'm just going to go in with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, and I'm going to apply that on the outer perimeter of my face. So one thing I forgot to mention, which is also an important tip, whenever you're using a setting spray, try to avoid anything that says dewy or luminous or illuminating, anything like that, especially if you have oily skin, because you're going to be applying a dewy foundation and you don't want to offset the natural glow that you're trying to achieve by making it look extremely greasy. You want to use a mattifying setting spray. That is probably your best bet at achieving the look that I am going to show you right here. Okay, so next, of course, because you want your foundation, because you want your overall look to look dewy and not greasy, the next step is very important. After you've applied your primers, then you go in and set the primer with a translucent powder. My favorite loose translucent powder that I love to set my primers is this one from Pat McGrath Labs, the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfecting Setting Powder. It's a setting powder, and I love to use it to set my primers before I apply my foundation. Now, using a fluffy brush, I'm not going to go in too heavy with the Pat McGrath setting powder. I'm just going to lightly press the powder all over my skin. Pay close attention to the areas where I sweat a lot more, where you would see more of my natural oils seeping through, which are these areas right here. And you see me dusting most of the powder onto. Now that we have our primer set in place with our setting powder, then we can move on to the next step, which is applying foundation. And I'm going to be using both of these foundation for this look, the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy Smooth Foundation and the Fenty Beauty, what is this called? Pro Filter Hydrating Long Wear Foundation. I love to mix both of these, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I mix them on my face. One is hydrating and one is dewy, which can sound like a lot of grease. But it actually works, especially since I set my primer in place at least an 8 to 10 hour wear out of this look whenever I apply. Trust me, I've done it before. Okay, so let me just apply a bit of this foundation to the back of my hand, and because we don't have a pump for this, I'm just going to assume this is about 2 pumps. The best way for you to achieve an overall nice, natural, smooth look is by using a beauty sponge. I'm using this one from Dose of Colors. You can see the Dose of Colors name right there. And I'm just going to go in by starting with one side of my face. I need a hand mirror. I'm always like trying to see the mirror there. There's a mirror in front of me, and I'm always trying to look ahead, and then I can't really zoom in on the areas where I want to zoom in, so I need a hand mirror. Okay, so I'm just going to gently go in and tap this foundation over my face, and I'm really going to spend some time doing this, especially since I powdered or I set my primer in place. I really have to pay attention to making sure I blend this foundation out properly all over the setting powder, and also making sure that I have a really nice smooth finish. Okay, that one looks good. We're gonna move on to the other side, and I'm not going to go around in circular motion, and I'm really just pressing the foundation with the areas that I want covered mostly. So next I'm going to go in with the Fenty foundation next, and I'm just going to add just one big pump just like that. I don't need any more because I already have enough of the dewy foundation on, so I'm just going to just lightly tap that and just spread that evenly all over both sides of my face, just to make sure I get that nice dewy overall finish. And the reason why I love to use a dewy and a hydrating foundation together, it's really because I feel like my skin just looks a lot more kissable when I use both of them together. It's a lot, but if you apply this the way that it should be applied, you know, prepping your skin first, making sure you set your primer in place, etc., you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It looks really nice. Apply the Fenty foundation in these areas right here, as you can see, and I'm just going to lightly blend it outwards just like that. And look at that. Tell me this does not look good. Tell me my skin does not look good, girl. This looks so good. This looks so good. I love it. All right, so let's move on to applying concealers, setting it with a loose translucent powder, etc. I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. This one is the shade Chestnut. I'm using Chestnut because I feel like Chestnut is going to give me what I need to get out of this. In Chestnut because I want my highlight to be just a tad bit brighter than what I normally wear, and it has started raining immediately after. Normally I allow my concealer to dry down for like a minute, but I'm going to go in immediately after because I don't want it to look too matte. Now I know there are some persons who really love the overall matte look, but for me sometimes I feel like when you have a super dry matte makeup look, it tends to look like really flat, especially if you're a person who loves to take selfies. Sometimes it can look like really flat or dull or whatever word you want to use on camera. And sometimes you don't even have to take a selfie to see that, you know, when you're looking in the mirror, it just looks really flat. So I like to just play up with dewy foundation and allow my skin to just nice and soft and kissable. Yeah, play up with a dewy or hydrating foundation once if you have oily skin, and tell me if you don't like the overall finish. Just tell me if you don't like the overall finish. finish. Go in with my Fenty Beauty Honey translucent setting powder, and I'm not going to use the usual bit that I normally use. I'm going to use a lot less because I still want it to look because I don't want it to look too flat or too matte. I should say I don't want it to look too matte. I still want some of that dewiness to come through, so I'm not going to use the usual amount that I normally use. Yeah, I'm just going to use just a tad bit just to set it, and that's it. A little bit all over. I just had to pause right there and apply some quick eye makeup. All right, so let's continue our face routine. So I'm going to go in next by applying a bit of bronzer. Now I know some persons love to apply their highlight without applying a bronzer, but I love to apply a bronzer because I just love the way how my face always looks so nice and bronzed. And I love this Mocha Mommy bronzer from Fenty, the Sunstalker bronzer. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love that sun-kissed bronzer look, so I always apply bronzer. Just gonna add a little bit up here next to our temples, and then just dust a light amount right here over my jawline, and then I'm going to go in with a blush, and then of course a highlight. All right guys, I am back, and this is the overall finished look. Now if you're wondering about my highlight, this isn't specifically like a highlight per se. This is, well, let me close her real quick because I don't want her to spill. This is one of the Diamond Lights finisher from Artist Couture. This one is the shade Golden Hour, and I love using it as a highlight because it just has this really nice, really pretty reflective pearls that just makes it look absolutely gorgeous, especially when I'm wearing a dewy foundation. And as you guys can see, right, although I'm wearing a dewy foundation, the overall finish still looks a little bit matte. By the way, you can go in with a second coat of setting spray over your makeup after you've applied all of your makeup. I did do that, but I didn't do it on camera, just letting you guys know. Just set everything in place. You can go in with a second coat of the setting spray that you use first. So if you want to use something completely different, that's completely up to you. This is the completed look, and this is something that I've been trying for a couple of months now, and I really love the fact that I get at least 8 to 10 hours way out of it. And at the end of the day, I do have a bit of oil coming through, but it's not as excessive because I did a lot of skin prep. And I think one of the most important things that you have to do is definitely pay close attention to your skin prep, and when you apply the primer, really set her in with a nice setting / translucent powder to really keep her in place before you apply that dewy foundation over her. I absolutely am in love with dewy and hydrating foundations as of late because I just love the way how they have my overall face looking after I've completed all of my face. And I feel like I need to turn this way all the time because I'm just loving what's going on here. It's just so pretty. I love this Diamond Lights finish as a highlight. So pretty. So that is it for this video. Please be sure to drop me a comment down in the comment section if you have any questions / comments about this video, and also if you happen to have enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up on your way out. Until my next upload, I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye bye.